Hello, my name is Melanie Graham, and I am embarking on a quest to define Canada. Now, I realize you may not have heard the word defined, but it is a combination of find and define, because it is my intention to find and define an inclusive Canadian identity for the 21st century. No doubt you have many questions. First, let me be clear, I need $20,000 for developmental research to prepare my grant proposals and funding proposals for September. And this involves a road trip and some expensive video cameras. But beyond that, I should probably explain to you why identity is important and why it's important to Canada. Canada has a history of vague and inconclusive national identity. We tend, as a nation, to define ourselves by saying, well, we're not Americans, and leave it at that. I tend to think of our national gesture as a shrug myself. But why bother? Why look for an identity? Why bother with finding a unique Canadian national identity, especially an inclusive one? We're a very diverse country. I think it's because of that diversity that I would like to take the time in a mother of all road trips all over Canada to talk to people and find out what it means to them to be a Canadian, how their identity is tied to where they live, the land that they grew up in, the land that their families came from. And you might ask why identity is important. Well, we all define ourselves by our relationships. We think in terms of our relationship with our family, with our friends, and our relationship with what we do for a living. We're very much defined by what we do. But there's a part of that equation that I think we overlook, and that is our relationship with the land around us. It is that land that determines to a large extent what it is that we will be doing for a living. Identity is important. It's important because if we know who we are, it makes it much easier to understand someone else. A stronger, clearer sense of self-identity breeds tolerance, breeds openness, and an embracing of the diversity that is very much a part of Canada. So I intend to travel throughout Canada interviewing people and asking them about their relationship, both historical in terms of where their family came from, and immediate in the here and now. What is their relationship with their immediate community, and how does that shape their sense of who they are? In any event, the quest to define a Canadian identity this summer will involve developmental research in BC and Alberta. And next year, pending funding, it will involve about a 6-month road trip throughout Canada. I have a publisher lined up. I'm very happy about that. And I also have a producer interested in turning this project into a documentary. The final outcome of my project, Definding Canada, will be a multimedia project, in fact, that will have a print copy of the book and an e-version of the book. It has the potential for a documentary based on the video interviews I do throughout Canada. And I'm also in discussion with the same producer that wants to do the documentary on the possibility of a reality blog that follows the travels across Canada. So, that's what the project will produce. And the book will be published in time to celebrate Canada's 150th anniversary or birthday in 2017. In terms of what qualifies me to do this project, I have my Master's of Arts in International Studies. I specialized in a concept called strategic culture or strategic security culture, which looks at how the strategic and biophysical environment shapes perception of threat and opportunity, and how a society will organize itself to make best use of that environment. I served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 12 years as a public affairs officer and produced a book called Afghanistan, a Canadian Story in November of 2014, but that book was a result of 5 years of research to collect the stories and photographs of 150 of the men and women who served Canada in Afghanistan. This was not a D&D project. In fact, I went through 7 years of bullying in the Canadian Armed Forces before I won a grievance on discrimination and defamation. And my efforts to do the book Afghanistan, a Canadian Story, were primarily to introduce Canadians to the ordinary, everyday men and women who do an extraordinary job of serving Canada in spite of the administrative obstacles and biases that are a part of the higher-ups in the chain of command, shall we say, and the politicos that drive the machine. I was first published in 1999 with a little book called Shortcuts, which was a book on how to turn all your old clothes into designer kids wear. It did well, as did Afghanistan, A Canadian Story, and you can still get that at Chapters. I have a tendency to see things through to completion, raised 3 kids by myself. I have traveled from Victoria to Newfoundland. I've seen most of this country. I love road trips, love Canada. And I know the country pretty well. I don't know the North. I'm planning to change that on this trip. So do I have what it takes to do this journey? I believe I do. Do I have the skills as a writer and as a researcher to do this project and do it well? Yes, I do. So I encourage you once again to help me get this project started through my Kickstarter fund. Please, if you cannot support the fund, at least share it with someone who can. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, and I will see you out there.